You're listening to the Australian Hunting and Beyond podcast with Matt, where we talk about hunting, shooting, fishing, camping, and everything else that the great outdoors has to offer. Let's get into it. All right, I have been looking forward to this because I've got Nick joining me, and mate, I really want to get straight into this unicorn buck that you got yourself. What a unique little critter you got there, mate. How cool.
Yeah, no, it was a total surprise. I'd been watching a few bucks passing on my cameras, and he was one that I had not captured. So, yeah, when I seen him up close for the first time and noticed his little nub in the middle of his head, I was just taken back. I couldn't believe it. So it was definitely a special one.
Well, let's talk about how you got to that process, because you and I have been messaging and whatnot, and you were getting some pretty cool camera footage and getting excited for the rut, as we all were. Talk about the anticipation, because you got a couple of decent bucks on your cameras. How did that all play out for you?
Well, it was an interesting time. I definitely didn't anticipate how crazy the hunting would go during the rut, so I was not prepared. I didn't get any bookings during the rut. The state forests booked out, and then I was refreshing the pages every night trying to just get a cancelled booking. So yeah, I just had to do a lot of scouting really, and I only had the one day initially to hunt the rut. So I put out my cameras and just hadn't focused on the areas that I actually set the cameras up, because all the hunting zones had changed on me. All my known hunting areas had changed the week of the rut. So yes, it was a late call to put the cameras there, and it paid off. So
I remember that happened to me on my first fallow rut down south. I think it was Mooragle North. They changed mid-hunt, and areas that we sort of like. I don't know what happened. It's probably the worst timing to change like where you're going, because I wonder if you think DPI being hunters, like, and I know that the guys that are sort of in charge and they do a lot of hunting, and the rangers that I've met, or the DPI officers, whatever you want to call them, all of them have been hunters. So you think that there would be some sort of idea. Now, I get that it's with forestry. I did have the experience where I was down in Mooragle North, and there was no logging going on in the actual forest, but they still changed zones. So I'm not exactly sure.
That was the exact same as me, mate.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Absolutely weird. And you think during the rut, like, do it afterwards. Like, everyone's scouted, they've gone up there, trying to control numbers. It makes more sense to leave as is until that back end, unless you've got like actual logging occurring. Then I completely get it. You know, forestry is a business at the end of the day, so I completely understand that side of it. But if it's an area that's not being logged, I don't get why they're actually changing the maps and the zones whilst it's in prime season to hunt fallow, especially.
Yeah, especially considering like it's not something that you can just rock up day of and kind of hope to get one. Like, you know, it takes a lot of scouting and a lot of knowledge of the area already. So yeah, it just felt like they were just trying to make it that bit harder. I mean, hunting in state forests already is it's difficult. So yeah, it just felt like a little bit of added hardship on top.
Well, it's one of those things. I will say, man, you're right about the state forests. They were incredibly difficult to book. I know I didn't even get anywhere near the one I wanted to start with, and then we hit Bago, and man, I don't know if I'll do that next year, to be honest, because it booked out so damn quickly, and the offset to it was everyone was in the same sort of area. It was borderline dangerous. I'm not going to lie. I've never heard so many gunshots go off, around me. And that is concerning. No incidents happened, obviously, and that's fantastic. But I sort of do sit there and go, the system is designed in such a way that you've got so much area, but if there's a an area which is, all the hunters, descend upon, then we have a bit of a problem because there's more in there than maybe should be. But then I do also think down in Vic they don't have that system at all. So like you could be hunting with people next to you, like and it's a very different system as well. So yeah, it's tricky. But man, it was great in one sense because I love the fact there's so many hunters out there hunting. That's a great thing. I think that's what we need for what we do. But again, I don't want it to turn into sort of America where you see those funny memes of like just hundreds of people walking along the same trail to get to the public land spot. So it's a real tricky one to navigate. But yeah, what do you do?
Yeah, well, it's funny that you say that because I actually had the exact opposite reaction. The whole forest was booked out, but driving around, I couldn't see a single car. Um, I heard a few gunshots over the rut. Don't get me wrong, but it's funny. I ran into a local. He thought I was his neighbour, and he just come down to say hello. And I was coming out of the forest from hunting, and he mentioned that a lot of the locals they think that someone greenies or someone in particular books out the forest so that hunters can't book in. And I thought that was a really interesting idea because I hadn't even thought of that happening. And I hunt in one of the largest state forests, it's something like 38,000 hectares, and they allocate something like 40 hectares per person um, inside that forest. So say it's 40 people, that's how big an area each person gets. But there's no tracking of where that person is, so you could be right next to them, as you said. So, but yeah, I had the opposite effect. It was all booked out, but no cars in the normal spots and stuff like that. So I was a bit baffled by that. But
I had a long conversation with Blake. He's got what is it? So it's the I can't even think of it. Hold on, let me check the apps. It's the one Contract Social. Yeah, I didn't even need to check Contract Social because I was chatting to him about this option. Is because his app is designed for farmers that you can check in onto their property, etc., etc.
Yeah, right.
And I was saying that is almost something that's needed for state forests. And that when you get to the state forest, you check in your GPS coordinates on the phone, log in through their app or, potentially his app, and they tailor off the back, whatever it might be. Because there has been a lot of times when I'm in a state forest, it's booked out and there's plenty of people that should be in there and I've never seen a soul. And it does make you question how many people just book and do it to either protect their area or potentially that, greenies doing it so the animals don't get hurt. I don't know because we don't know the sort of the background. We're only sort of guessing and assuming here, but it would make a little bit of sense because you're not the first person who's mentioned that to us, that people think that the forests are being booked out to stop hunters getting in, or people do it, even potentially hunters, to stop more hunters being in that space so that they'll get their mates to book in with no real sort of that they're going to rock up and hunt. But that will then just mean less pressure in that forest as well so that you have a better chance. It's an interesting concept. I really like the idea of the check-in system and that DPI can tell that you have checked in to the forest and GPS shows you in the forest. So you can't sit, a couple of hours away, like I'm a couple of hours away from the state forest. I can't sit there and go, yep, I'm here. And my GPS is telling me, no, that's not true. You're over here. I like the idea of that sort of model. I don't know how it would sort of play out, but I think that would be a really, really good one. To just get a real understanding of who's in there and then have some sort of system that if you don't go to your booking, that you might get suspended for a month.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Yeah, but there has to be some kind of like lead up to that. Like it has to be done a certain amount of times. But as you said, like it's it's all GPS tracked. So the DPI should know, hey, this person's booked in for 5 days
Yep.
and they haven't rocked up. And, you can, and I've booked a couple of times, and I know I'm not going to be able to make it. So
Cancel.
you can quickly cancel it, and
Yeah.
then that allows someone else to book in place. So
Yep. And I think that's then doing the right thing by the hunters too. Like I've done that plenty of times. If you look at my thing, I go, oh, yep, this is going on. And with my luck, there's a lot going on and I've had to cancel
yeah,
and go, look, it sucks for me, but I cancel as soon as I know because that potentially gives somebody else the opportunity to get in there and take my spot. I really do like when people post it up on the Facebook group saying, hey, canceling my booking for this forest if anyone wants to jump in and take it. I think that's a really good just community sort of thing to do. And I think more people, I encourage more people to do that if you are cancelling. It's a tricky one because I see the benefits of being able to do that and say, hey, these guys are in there. They're in here for the 3 days. They're in here for 5 days, whatever it might be. They've been hunting it. Because the other thing I think that happens a lot too is that people book multiple forests and you can book 2 forests at the time and you double up on there. You can't hunt both. But in their defense, I sort of agree with it slightly because of the structure of the system. Because if you're only allowed 2 bookings, so you don't sort of want to go, all right, well, I want to jump in this for 2 days, then here for 2 days. If you don't get that one, then that day, oh, now that's screwed. I can't do another one here. Then I've got no scouting as well. I think I mentioned on another podcast, I think it was with Rob from Athena Spatial, talking about I'd love to see your 14 days or whatever you pick. I don't really care the number, but that can be spread out whenever, wherever. All right, not to say that, I think that was a Shakira song, but I do want to say that, like, hey, if I want to do 2 days in this forest and then 2 days in the adjoining forest, and then, you know what, on the way home, I want to do 2 days in that forest, I don't understand why that shouldn't be allowed because I haven't broken any rules. And what I do think is that no one's hunting 2 forests on the same day or very, very rare. So when you book in those 2 in the hope of, I'll check that out. But in defense, like I get it because down where I hunt, this rut was in Bago. Bago, Mooragle, there was cars everywhere. So if you had a couple of spots in Mooragle and you went in and went, what the hell's going on here? I'll just jump over across to Bago because they borderline the road. And there's plenty of forests that do that too. So I sort of understand that part of it, but it's then taking a spot as well. I think it's a good system, and I think the DPI do a fantastic job, and I'm not ratting on them and having a crack. I'm thinking of ways to improve the system and make it better for everybody so it's more accessible, more user-friendly, and everyone's getting a fair go in that sense, if that makes sense what I'm saying. Hey, outdoor enthusiasts. With winter fast approaching, it's time to gear up with our latest clothing merch drop. Loaded with a heap of rugged, new designs built for the outdoors and to represent our passion and lifestyle. Our new hoodies are weather ready and specifically crafted for epic hunts, hikes, and campfire nights, plus everything in between. Stay comfy, stylish, and trail ready. Hit up the Australian Hunting and Beyond Linktree and click on the shop tab. Alternatively, check out the link in our bio on Instagram or in the show notes. They are ready now before your next adventure. Gear up and get out there.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you there. But yeah, no, I have done a little bit of hunting down in Victoria, and their system down there is awesome. Drive past a forest, see some deer, and you can literally just park your car and go straight in. I understand what you're saying. I'm pretty lucky with how close I am to the forests that I hunt. But I'm getting, when I contacted you about going down south, like not having any boots on the ground knowledge and trying to pick a hunting spot. It's hard, especially if you haven't been to that forest or to that part of the country. And each forest is different, so it does make it hard, and I can totally understand booking 2 forests and going, oh no, that one was a bust, no deer in there, we'll go to the other one. So but yeah, it's a hard thing to kind of scale and kind of on the size of how many hunters in New South Wales, and kind of track it all. It'd be a lot of work. So no, I'm glad that we can hunt, really.
Oh, well, that is a massive positive. And I think that the way AI is going, I think we're going to get to the stage where a lot of this stuff that we're having people sort of input and do potentially can be done on its own. Like it's um, some of the AI stuff coming out now is just unreal. I use it a lot in work, and man, it is. I was showing my team today and just going some of the things AI can do now. To like, I can change the same text and set it for different age groups to read, and it will
Wow,
do it
that's
within
cool.
seconds. Oh, it's brilliant because I consistently say to my kids or my students, I should say, but I consistently say to them, if you don't understand a concept, you can jump on ChatGPT, Grok, whatever you want, and you can ask it to explain this and do it at different age groups. Start off at like 8-year-old, and then if you get it as an 8-year-old, go to 10, go to 12, go to 14 until you have that real deeper understanding of the concept you're trying to learn. And it's unreal to see how quickly it spits it out and how it adjusts the content and to the reading levels as well. It's like it's unreal. It's something I'm using a lot in my classroom. I know, like with my kids, I have such varying abilities. And to be able to use the same text and split it across the different learning abilities
Yeah,
and
that's
do it
incredible.
instantly, it's incredible. I know I use it. I use it regularly, and I'm preaching the benefits of it because if there's something that I don't understand in depth, I just make it simple for myself and then work my way up, and it's just nuts.
Yeah,
Like
I
it's
am totally with you actually. I've been using ChatGPT for all sorts of different things, like any deer related questions,
yeah,
it'll just pump it out to you in 5 seconds and you've just
yep.
got the answer right in front of you. So yeah, and I saw a Instagram video a while back of some New Zealand guys, and the ChatGPT like organized the whole hunt for them, like through satellite imagery, told them where to go, and they shot a massive red stag. So it's just incredible what
Oh,
it can do. Like, and I'm pretty anti-technology, so for me to get on board with that was you got to get on board because it's not going away.
oh
So
no.
and it can be really, really helpful as you've said with your classroom. Like that's I mean, I know for me, I have ADHD, so if I had that at school, that would have been a game changer, you know?
Oh, look, it's one I sort of have a bit of a giggle and go as a teacher. I might be out of a job soon. Like there's a whole school in the UK that they literally have opened a school without teacher. It's
No.
all AI teachers,
Okay, that's
and
scary.
well, it's a very interesting concept because it basically has AI teachers, but they not only can differentiate for the learner, but it adapts and grows with the learner. So it knows who the learner is and what they like to do, and it tailors everything to their sort of interests, needs, communication styles, their
Yep.
level automatically. And it continues to push them and do a thing. I just sit there and go, like, I love my job, don't get me wrong, but 30 kids in a classroom, it's hard to be perfect teacher for all those 30 kids. This system being able to do that for every single kid, holy crap. I might be the end. I might just be a security guard in the classroom just for behavior and that I don't teach anymore. Who knows? But it's fascinating. It'll be really interesting to see what that does because that's the first in the world, from my understanding.
Yeah,
Like
right.
a private school. It's like 40 grand to go to it, but they are so confident. There's a few rumors China has been doing this a lot, and that their classrooms are heavily AI linked, so that it differentiates, and that way it really takes the onus on that learner, and that those adaptive models can grow and learn from the learner as well, and how they teach and get through to them. It's super exciting times because you think about like the amount of knowledge that you can take in so quickly, and you don't have to scour the internet for hours finding something. It
Yeah.
does it for you, and then you can get more depth. And the hardest part about it is the prompts. You really got to learn the prompts and sort of almost reverse that. You don't ask it the question, you get some info and, hey, what do you need from me, and then prompt it the way it needs for to come at, give you that whole picture. It's exciting to see how much you can learn from it in regards to hunting as well. That's cool.
Oh, seriously, like the amount of photos that I will just upload to it and it can basically it'll give you out the summary of like it's between 48 and 72 hours old because of this and this, or
That's nuts,
and
eh?
like even just like finding bits of hair on the licking branches and stuff, and it can determine whether it's a fallow or a sandbar, and it can age off the teeth and everything. Like it's just
Yeah.
it's an incredible tool. And for someone that I haven't had any into the hunting world, like I didn't know anyone who was doing it, so I just had to kind of teach myself. So it's been an incredible tool, at least for the last couple of months that I've been using it.
Well, I think that's, I sort of, not regret, that's the wrong sort of word, but I wish it was around when I first got into hunting. That I first got in and there was a lot of hours in the bush learning and things like that. And what is that? What's that? Having that ability to be able to use something in your pocket that is almost like this personal coach for free. I think everyone has different sort of positions, and I sort of look at it and go, where does this take over? Like, is it now hunting guides need to worry because they're teaching, as you just said, how old's this print? What is this print? Which way is it going? All those things you can literally put into the AI. It will tell you everything and you're learning. So that's still you learning, right? Like it's giving you the information on the spot, but it's doing the same as a hunting mentor that has years of experience. Now, if you're in a position like both of us have been, that you're starting your journey where you haven't got connections into the hunting world, that is just leaps and bounds assisting. It's a real funny one. Tech's something I love chatting to people about because it's one of those things that people get really funny in their positions and what they can justify and what is unacceptable. And you have the camp that we don't want to use thermals, but that camp will generally be fine with using high-powered scopes to shoot long distance. And it's like, well, hold on, where's the line, right? Like if we keep saying, we don't want to get technology, fair chase, etc., well, are you running around with a recurve bow and wooden arrows? Because realistically, that's where you probably should be. Maybe a spear. I don't know. It's such a funny one because I hear so many people go, I want to keep it fair chase, but they will, thermals are the enemy, but binoculars at some stage would have been the enemy, and scopes at some stage would have been the enemy to iron sight hunters. And these progressions that they're now fully accepting of are now than just the next step of progress. So the thermal is a problem. Shout out to Dave. He was on last episode and he got away over the weekend. He is using the Alpex Hick Micro 4K and unbelievable bit of gear. We spoke about that. Really good of a night. Like it gives you light right up to last shooting light. So you can clearly see shoot without any infrared, anything like that. It's just brilliant. He nailed a buck. So congrats, Dave. I think it was at about 414 meters. Literally just off the bullet compensator in the ballistics calc, bullet compensator, everything in the actual unit itself that said aim here and shoot, and did it and knocked over the deer at 400 meters. And he clearly said, he goes, I love this scope. I recorded the whole thing so he could see if he missed where, which is another teachable moment. And then also the fact that he was able to judge the distance properly using that tech and make a clean kill. Man, that's such a good thing. Like if we talk about fair chase, I get the fact they're saying, but that's not your skill level. But humans have been something that has evolved into an intelligent predator. Our skill isn't speed. It's not seeing and it's not hearing and it's not the senses that go around us. It's the ability to have intelligence and come up with better game plans to create camouflage. Like that's the next one. Do we say, okay, well, don't hunt out of a tree stand because that's technology. Like, where do you stop? So I love the discussion because everyone has their position and can justify their own position. And I do get where they're coming from. You don't sort of want to just go, all right, I'm here to hunt, send the drone out, it's thermal and it shoots it for you and just brings it back. I don't want to see it get to that stage. But if there's things that can make it more successful, keep numbers in check, maybe that steers away from poison, that's a win for me. Using that tech for that, then we go to poison, they get wiped out, or people don't want to eat them because who knows if they're tainted. That flow-on effect.
I think it's quite a personal thing, I guess, and I guess it's what terminology you're going to use. So for me, like if you're using a thermal, that's not hunting. You're shooting. And it's funny, I went to a Christmas party just around where I've recently moved to, around the state forest, and everyone there's like, oh yeah, I'm not a hunter, I'm a shooter. I'm not going trudging through the forest. They just, when they get on the property and they have a clean shot, they'll take him. And there's a big thing between fair chase and just shooting. And yeah, how far do you want to go with it? Do you want to go back to using a bow and everything else? But I think if even back in the Stone Age or whatever, if they were given a spear or a bow and arrow, they're going to choose the bow and arrow because they've got
advantage.
Yeah, and so why wouldn't they use something that could help them? And I think it's different back then too. That's purely for survival. So you're going to use any kind of means and to kind of get your prey. So whereas us in the modern world, we've kind of got a bit more flexibility. We can just go down to the supermarket if we don't get our prey. But
thank God, I'd be starving. So
yeah, well, yeah. So no, that's a good point.
It's always just fascinating to see where people draw the line. And look, to be honest, it doesn't bother me where you draw the line. I get all sides of it, and I don't know where I sit. Like I'd chop and change between things. Like I think the buck I got this year, I didn't want to pull the trigger because it was under spotlight. And I was like, I spotted it with the thermal. We went there, we were doing a job, but I was like, oh, do I really want to shoot my first buck under spotlight? It didn't sit right with me. So
yeah,
I sort of then sit there and go, does that mean I'm more leaning towards not doing it, but I think that fair chase, I like the challenge of it. Like I'm all for meat, don't get me wrong. I'm all to help out the farmers again.
No, I 100% agree with you there.
100%. But I do like the chase.
Yeah, like I had very similar experience of an afternoon, and I just grabbed the rifle and just went for a quick walk, and I seen a couple of deer on my property, and they had no idea I was there. I seen them from 400 or 500 meters away and just slowly made my way down, and I was about to not take the shot. I'm like, this is almost too easy, They didn't know I was there, and then the doe turned on, and I could see that she was actually pregnant. So I thought, I'm going to leave her. And then another one popped out from the bush, and I thought to myself, oh, no, I'll regret this if I don't take the opportunity to get one on my own property. So I took the shot. But yeah, it's that similar thing. Do I want to give the animal, fair chase, or do I want to just get some meat on the table, basically, So
I think it's context. Context and situations are a big thing. And I think this is where I appreciate people going, oh, okay, I don't like the thermal and that. It's not really fair chase. But if you get away limited times a year and you are going to a brand new state forest and you don't know anything about that state forest, you haven't got trail cameras up there, you've got 5 days. Hell, some people don't even get that many days in the bush. Is that necessarily a bad thing for them to go, you know what, I'm going to use a thermal because I need all the help I can get to get one on the deck? I don't have an issue with that. Look, I think personally for me, if I lived really close to a state, and look, I'm a bit of a hypocrite here because I've got a thermal monocular. I have never used it in a state forest. So I haven't. I would rather probably walk around and not get anything than take my thermal and then use that. But I sort of get it. If I was going down, and I don't get away that much anyway. So I guess it just depends on your position, on what you are trying to achieve. But then you sort of go, look, hunting's such a beautiful thing in the sense that everyone can do their own little way. And, if you want to hunt high fence, go nuts. If you only want to hunt public land, go for it. If you want to pay to go to properties, if you don't want to pay to go to properties, all right, do whatever you would like. And that's one of the things. And I think more people need to be a little bit more accepting of that and go, you know what? Okay, I'm going to do it my way. Now, that doesn't mean my way is the right way. Your way might be a better way, or in your opinion. But good on you. You do, Nick. You do exactly hunt how you want to hunt. I'll hunt how I want to hunt. I don't need to have animosity towards you because you do something different, or you hunt more, or you have better access. Like, okay, whatever. That you do you, I'll do me. And I think that's one thing, is that I think we sometimes get away from the picture, a lot of hunters anyway, and go, instead of getting back to the root cause that they were out there to enjoy the bush, hopefully provide meat. Chase this animal that I think most hunters adore is probably a word. I adore them. I think they're a brilliant animal. If it's harvested with, iron sights, bow, high-powered scope, from 500 meters away, as long as it's legal and ethical, I've got absolutely no issue with it. I would much prefer someone to go in there with a thermal in a state forest during the day, if it's legal, I will say, and have that and use that and shoot an animal than someone go out and poach.
100%.
Like that's how I view it.
Like, it's a renewable resource. Like, if it was something that once it's gone, we're never going to have that number again, then I could understand. But like, they're breeding like crazy, they're spreading, and it's like, I don't know why you wouldn't want a hunter to be successful, because I can't understand that. Or like hunters booking out so they, someone else can't get their spot. Like, that goes against, and that's not to say the animal's not going to be, it's not going to be dumb enough to just stand out in front of someone, so like,
look, each their own. I mean, it's one of those things. I sort of sit there and go, it's the same as people. I sort of get it. Like, they don't want to share spots or what state forests and things like that. I get that, because they put time, energy, getting to know the forest. All for it. I understand that. It's one of those things. And then there's other people who don't really care too much. Like, I'm pretty open in what state forests I go to. Look, it is what it is. If it gets booked out and I don't get it, okay, I'll go to another one. It's not one that I see. But again, if you don't want to say, I have no problem with that either. Like, there's a few things on social media this week that I was looking at, and people sort of saying you shouldn't ask for, help in state forests, or are there this there and that there? And I sort of looked at it and went, well, is that the community spirit? Like, they're not asking for spots. They're asking for this. Now, even if they ask for spots, you don't have to tell them.
Oh, well, you don't have to give them a pinpoint GPS location, but you can just say a general area and say, look, they're in there,
or, if you don't want to, don't. Scroll on. There's no need to call names or say you're lazy and blah, blah, blah. You don't know that person's circumstances. You don't know what's going on in their life. That could be a 2-day trip that they need to get out and clear their head because they're having a bad time at work. Who knows? And I sort of sit there and go, if someone puts up and they're asking, hey, is there deer in this forest? Mate, the forests are huge.
100%.
Deer are in, prolific proportions. There's a heap of them out there.
Yep.
If I'm saying, hey, guess what? There's deer in this forest, and people are going to that forest because there's deer in there, okay. But you're not even saying anything that's not out there. Like, it's on the harvest reports. It's such a fascinating thing. I love sort of that psychology behind trying to understand what people are trying to achieve or what they're doing, and even putting people down. And again, it's your lived experience, and people really, I think, just need to sort of sit back and have a think about what is being said and how they're approaching different things to have a better community. Like, at some point, the experts were beginners somewhere.
Yeah.
No one just walks into it. Well, who knows? With AI, maybe we'll be walking in as experts shortly. But most people walk in, and whatever they're doing, they're a beginner. They didn't get to that expert level until they learnt either from someone or experience or whatever it might be. And I think people forget that very, very quickly. And then I see it with people asking questions. Oh, that's a stupid question. Well, no, it's not, because the person doesn't know the answer. They're asking a question, and they're asking for a community to help them maybe this is a good thing with AI, because we seem to get, a lot of people that sort of get a bit antsy, that they don't want to help someone, or they're more willing to put them down before help. And it's sort of sad to see sometimes. I do sit there, but maybe, again, that's maybe the teacher in me, is that I'm here to help and educate, and that's sort of what I love to do. So I sort of sit there and go, okay, maybe that's not everyone is sort of has that mindset. But mate, all right, let's get back to your hunting. So you're in the state forest. Things changed up.
Yep.
You got a couple of nice bucks, and I was getting excited for you, because you sent me some photos, and I was like, oh, that's got to be super exciting. I didn't have the chance to get trail cameras in where we were going, so again, sort of going down and let's see what happens. How did that go about? You got in there, you knew your site, your trail camera was there. Did you see any of the bucks that you got on camera that you were hoping to see?
Well, it's a pretty bittersweet story, actually. So I was trailing this one buck for about a month. From my birthday on April the 8th, I first caught him on camera birthday morning, and that was actually on my property. And then I'd moved those cameras deeper into the forest. I'd found a few rubs and scrapes and just set it up over the scrape. And yeah, I regrettably missed a shot on the biggest buck I've ever seen, and the biggest buck in the area. And I was just taunted by him, hearing him croak all night on next door's private property that I didn't have access to. And then every morning he'd go back into the forest, and I'd catch him on camera. But he just kept eluding me. He'd be there at 5:50 in the morning, thrashing the tree, and then I'd be there at 7:30 and just missed him. One morning I was going in to check the cameras, and I heard some thrashing around, and I knew I was on, and made my way up to where I could hear the sound. And I previously didn't know about thermals. I do know about them now, and it's what completely screwed me up, because the wind was it was blowing uphill, but because of the thermals, the wind was pulling downhill.
Yeah.
And so I was worried that he was going to wind me, and so I rushed the shot, and it was a clean miss. Thankfully, it was a clean miss. But it rattled me, and I was just so determined. So any time that I got, I was just out there just checking the cams, the morning that I got the unicorn buck, I'd captured him on camera at 5:55, and then I got there at 6:20 or something, and I sat in position for an hour and a half, and nothing happened. And so I did a quick loop back around to the other trail camera over some feed, and then I came back around and then sat back down where originally I was. And not even 5 minutes later, you could just see the spots coming through the pines. And then I didn't waste any time. I think I had about a 7-second window, and caught the shot on trail camera. I don't know how I got that lucky, but clean shot, bilateral lung collapse, heart shot too. So he made it maybe 15 meters, and he was already gone before I got to him. So
bled out for you too. Happy days.
Oh, it was a beautiful morning. It was a lot of hard work and time spent in the bush to make that happen. But it was a great morning. Great morning.
And look, touching on what we were talking about before, is that using the thermal or things like that, and we're talking about a thermal device, not the thermals in air. That I don't know if I'd feel the same. Like you've just talked about, I put all these pieces, this hard work going through all that to rock up, see it with the thermal and shoot. I don't think that sort of romanticism about it gets taken away from me. And I think that the story, as you said, I can see. I know, listeners, this is an audio podcast, but obviously we've got camera on, and I can see how much it meant to you, reminiscing about the story and what it actually meant. You could see your face light up then talking about that moment. That's such a great thing, and it's really funny. We do have to talk about why we're calling it the unicorn buck, because it is, when we say unicorn, maybe it's lotto, maybe it's 1 in a million. I mean, we could call it a few different things here. You did actually give me the statistic,
Yeah, well,
courtesy of ChatGPT.
Yes. Yes, he did. Yeah. I think it was one in 7,000 in the wild. Um, and I mean, so he's got an extra pedicle right in the center of his skull. Um, and I mean, it's not very big. It's probably only, you know, 3 or 4 centimeters, maybe not even that, but well defined, clear pedicle with a tiny little stub antler in the middle. And I was puzzled before I'd actually skinned him and seen what was going on. But he had this huge growth above his eye, and it was almost closing one eye completely shut. And it was obviously from a skull fracture, maybe a couple of years previously or whenever. But it pushed one of the antlers all the way down into the eye socket. And yeah, I think the body just trying to compensate and saying, hey, there's an antler supposed to be there. And it's kind of just forced, calcium growth to grow another antler stub. It could either be that or it could be genetic. But due to the extensive damage to his face, I just assumed that it was, from the injury. So,
well, I love that ChatGPT, you sent me what it said, and I'll read it to people. So this is what it says. It looks like a true third pedicle grew and developed just enough to push out that stub. It's not from injury. That kind of clean centered growth suggests a genetic anomaly or an embryological defect, like twin pedicles fusing weirdly in the womb. It's not a crypto orchid? Crypto orchid, if you pronounce it that way, since it's in full hard antler with decent mass and clear testosterone development, but it is extremely rare, especially for a fallow buck. Most antler anomalies you see are the splits or drop tines, not a third beam. Most hunters will never see one, let alone take one down. How good is ChatGPT?
Epic summary.
Well, mate, it's perfect. It's spot on. And, I'm sure you'll, let us post the image of it on the cover of the episode.
Yeah, for sure.
So people can have a look at it. It's bloody cool. And the fact that most people never see one and you got one, that's awesome. What a story. And
the fact that he was the one buck out of 8 or 9 that I'd watched in that area, I hadn't captured him on camera. So he was a true ghost. Obviously, I think something else that ChatGPT said that he was a bit of a freak. So he's probably pushed out and kind of lived quite a solitary life. And that kind of played in with not capturing him on camera at all. And, if he was another meter or two further back, there's no way the trail camera would have picked him up. So, he was just a wise old ghost, I guess,
It's cool. I mean, A, that, B, ChatGPT doing that, C, the story of it, capturing it on trail camera. Man, there's so much of it. Just You've got this whole story that's all come together. It's fantastic. So, mate, congrats. What an epic. Now, that's a cool trophy, because that's something there. That is an epic difference in story. I think that's
for
just,
sure.
That's fascinating. I think if I had the choice between a massive set of antlers or something unique like that, I'd go the unique. I think that's a bit more special and different. So, that's so cool.
You got me onto my first buck actually down in Mooragle North. Yeah, I think it was Mooragle North, and he was just a spiker, but one spike heaps longer than the other, and then the other 2 bucks besides the unicorn buck, they were malformed as well. So I just have some kind of malformed buck obsession at the moment. So not by anything of my own choosing, but it's what happens. Yeah, it's what I've been offered, and I take what I'm being given offered. So
what do they say? Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. So it's mate, take it for sure.
That first buck that I got when you got me onto down in Mooragle, that was first day of a 5-day hunt, 20 minutes into the hunt. and and I shot my first buck, and I was almost not going to do it because I thought, oh, do I really want to do this? And I've got another 4 days down here, and I thought, no, you can't pass up something that you came down here for. So it doesn't matter how big his antlers are. That was a big thing. So
It's funny. We were talking about this. There's the brown. It's down. The live and let grow. When it comes to public land, I think it's a bit different because there's so many hunters out there. If you let something go, there's no guarantee that's not shot, in 30 minutes.
100%.
It's a bit different. And that's why I always sort of say, congratulations to Frodo out there because I was really impressed with his buck for a state
that was
forest
a cracker
buck.
one.
I think it's amazing. Look, there were bigger ones taken. I'm not going to lie. There was a couple of bigger ones taken down there. Yeah, I saw one, a couple of Serbian hunters down there. They got a way bigger one, and my mate had it and showed me back at camp. And man, it was decent. And shout out to Gio too. He got one with the bow for the first time, which was cool. And his was a cracking buck as well.
True.
And I sort of sit there and go, not only is that such an achievement because they're in a public state forest that's popular, that has a lot of hunting pressure.
Yeah.
It's not like a private property where you're the only one that has access and you can literally herd manage, let the animals grow.
Oh, not only that, you can actually glass the
culls.
animals. You can actually sit there with your binoculars.
100%. It's a different.
You can't do that in the forest usually.
Yeah, it's a different world. It's look, again, I haven't had much access, like private access, and getting to check out a property just before the rut, and being able to glass and see things at 300, 400, 500 meters. It was so alien to me, and I was just looking, going, "What is this?" I felt such a surreal experience because that's not what I have ever been able to do in public land hunting, and having and seeing so many deer. Going, "Oh my god!" There's we saw 300. Very, very different experience. Going, what is this?
Even just their behaviour, it is completely different. Like where my parents are. In Sydney, the deer you just see them just running down the driveways and stuff, and they'll just be drinking from the dams, and there's no, like, they don't even care about the smell, about sounds, nothing. But in the state forest, you close your door hard, and they've heard that for at least 500, 600 meters away, depending on the elevation and which way the wind's blowing and stuff. Like it's a completely different ball game. It's proper hunting.
It's really interesting, isn't it? Like I'm reading the Hunt Smart system from Errol Mason, and
interesting.
It's brilliant. And I'm only up to I think 150 pages in, and I think it's just under 500. And I've starting to see some of the patterns. And he actually mentions in there that Samba in particular. That they don't worry about artificial sounds. So you slamming a car door, they actually don't care.
Really?
Curiosity, yeah. That they are not worried about those artificial noises that he's. One example he gives is that a person's driving this bulldozer, I think it was a bulldozer or a tractor, and looks in the back and there's 3 Sambas 10 meters behind following in a line on this trail that I think he was grading. Anyway, don't quote me. Get the book and read it. Support Errol. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Can't talk more highly about it so far, and I'm not even finished. I'm frothing on it. And I was just reading that going, that's super interesting. But if they see your outline, or they get your scent, then you're screwed. If they hear your voice, you're done. So those noises that they relate to human, as in obviously us speaking, that triggers them and they'll be gone. Whereas you driving along in the car and that's not as not bad, not as they won't take sort of any consideration to it. It's all about the prey sort of side of it that they've evolved with. And humans have been hunting these animals for a bloody long time, and there's got to be something in it like that. It's just imprinted in their DNA. So animals that, are not, that have developed, like, look at the Samba. It's so edgy and so spooky, and it goes to the forest. They look, make fallows seem like puppy dogs. But the ability to grow up, even when they're not hunted by tigers over here, that it's only been realistically humans, and we're pretty noisy, loud creatures in the bush. Yet they're so switched on still, and they still pick up those things. And oh man, they're fascinating. I love all of it.
I think that point is why I admire and have such a reverence for the deer. Like, one, they're beautiful creatures, but two, like, you can't have a more switched on to their senses animal. Like, they live their whole life in this like flighty kind of, edgy, ready to move and pounce at any time, because they're just always, looking over their shoulders. And as you said, that's just genetically imprinted from them being hunted by lions and tigers. And, I think that's what Samba, they're tigers, aren't they? Indian?
Tigers, yeah, there's tigers.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're a huge animal, so you can imagine it would take a predator like that to take it down.
Oh, God,
so, but yeah, I actually I follow a guy who hunts down in Victoria, and he said that he's seen dingoes take him down. So
I have seen that. And you think about the hound hunters, obviously, they bail them up and get there. Fascinating. It's the whole thing for me. That's what I love about it. There's just so much to learn constantly, and I think every time I go out, I learn something new. And I sort of now think I have been using a little bit of AI with hunting. Now you've got me going, hold on. Now I can take a photo and it can tell me.
Oh, 100%,
like,
man.
Hold on. What?
Do it.
I think I need to get in on that.
And not only that, like, I like take pictures of rubs, and then you go, what species of tree is this? And then then you can look out for those species of trees more. And it's just made me realize, it's made me pick up so much more in the bush. Now I'm reading like snapped twigs and bits of little hair, and reading how fresh that track is, like, and trying to, walk from the water source up into their beds, which is a really interesting. Like, I just finished Nick Harvey's Deer Hunting in Australia.
Yep.
And that was an epic read. I think I finished it in 3 hours or something. It was just so much information in there. And I think I just love to torture myself and do everything the hard way, because I didn't even really do much research before trying to hunt. I just got into the bush, and none of those things that are absolutely pivotal, like your wind, your scent, everything, I was just not doing anything to, and just walking straight in the bush and going, why am I not seeing anything?
Yeah.
And then all of the things slowly start clicking into place, and you go, well, it's not just an easy thing to just walk into the bush and spook an animal that's been adapting to this for years and years and years. So you've got to take every little bit of information that you can get to use it to your advantage, really, because they're not dumb animals. They're incredibly smart.
It's you summed it up really well there. I think that for me, I liked the stumbling blocks. That sort of, I think that, like, my personality type, I like challenge. So when I wasn't getting anything, as I've said, I've introduced some mates, and they just like, stuff this. You hunted for how long and you didn't get anything? Like, what the hell? 6 years and you didn't shoot a deer? Like, what the hell's wrong with you, sort of thing? And I go, well, you know what? Like, that whilst it sucked at times, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, damn it, I really want to get one. And then start another journey of processing and learning about field dressing and things like that. Because you can read all the books and you can see it, and you go to do a course and all that. And no issues if you do any of that. But I don't think it's the same, man. Like, I've butchered quite a few different deer now, and each time I'm doing something a little bit different that I find a little bit easier, or I'm going to do it this way and try that, something different. And then circumstances are different. I think that's been really great. Like, one of the ones I'm probably using more than anything now is I've got like a mesh. It's like a mesh fly screen, and it just packs down real light. And then when I'm butchering, I'll skin everything on the ground, have that there, and then I'll just take the meat out and just drop it there, and it just sits on it. And then because it's mesh, I have the ability just to flick it over the top so it's protected from flies, wasps, whatever.
Yeah, nice.
And it's still getting airflow, getting a heap of airflow. It's not plastic. So it's getting a heap of airflow. That's really, really good for that. Like it's just a sort of, it's a cloth mesh. It's fantastic.
You know what I use?
Yeah.
Pillowcases work perfect for meat bags.
So that's what I use too. I instead of, you know, like hey, again, do what you want, guys. I'm no expert, don't profess to be, but I love the banana shaped pillowcase. You know, the real long ones.
Yeah, yep.
Man, they're good because they're so long. Or even if you get the long ones that like the double pillowcases in one, because then you can put in like a whole leg comfortably, tie 100%. It up comfortably. Nothing's hanging out. It's super easy to do. So I've sort of been doing that, and I've actually gone a step further. I'm with you on this one. I have different color coding systems. So I put the back straps in one color coded one, and then I have, you know, the shoulders in another color coded one, legs in another one. And the reason I do that is that when I come down to breaking it up and butchering it, I know what's what and what I'm sort of getting myself into to get ready for it. You know,
it's a whole ordeal. It's a big process.
It is. And, you know, I sort of sit there, and that's why I do it now, and take my time a bit too. So instead of rushing, because I used to think, oh yeah, you got to, you know, go so quick, get it out. Not maybe summer, I still think that, but like when in the cooler months, April on now is perfect. Take your time, and I almost want to do everything out in the bush. And I'll cut everything up, debone it out in the bush. I don't have to worry about disposal or anything. I've got the really good meat for each different cuts and color coded. So when I get back, I know what I've got to sort of, how I'm going to prep it or do it to put it into the vac sealer. That's the next one. Vac seal on site will be the next one, because I tried dry aging the last couple, and man, I don't regret it. And the meat turned out really good, but geez, there's some waste. After sitting exposed for 7 days in the fridge, that hard outside is super hard. Cutting away like I guess you'd call it a rind sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then cutting it away, it exposes the meat, and the meat underneath is unreal. However, geez, you cut away a lot. Mind you, my dogs weren't complaining. They were pretty excited about that.
I mean, I'd love to do a bit of that. I heard the podcast with Andrew. I followed him for a few years, the bald chef.
Yep. Yeah.
And yeah, I love his fridge. His setup is great. But yeah, I don't have that luxury. I'm on solar power too, so I could never run something like he's got. So I just, as you say, quickly debone it and get it frozen as quickly as possible. So
yeah, and look, each their own. There's not a good, there's not the perfect way to do it. It comes down to your context. Like I'd love to have that big fridge, but honestly, I hunt in state forests. So I don't go out as often as I'd like. You know,
and you're only getting one deer, not two or three.
Correct.
So.
I'm not going out shooting 3 in a row and hanging 3 and doing it on a weekly or, you know, fortnightly basis. So it's sort of, I guess what it comes down to is your context. For me, it's super easy for me to wet age it. Just chop it up, vac seal it, leave it in for 7 days, happy, you know, then freeze it, and then I've got it any time or eat it on the spot, whatever. But it's just easy to do, heaps less wastage, which is a win. And realistically, I couldn't tell the difference in flavour between dry aging and wet aging.
Yeah, true.
Not much there. Look, the only thing
venison's beautiful. I mean, if you can make it taste any better, I mean, you don't need to. So, I mean, I haven't had the need to, because I just love the taste of it as it is. So
I agree.
But yeah, I think it's so much better than beef. Like I don't think I've bought steak since, you know, getting into hunting. So, like, yeah.
Oh, see, I don't know how you do that. I do like beef.
Yeah, okay.
I love a good steak, a lot of fat on it. Like that is epic for me. I could live on it. I'm definitely a carnivore.
Same.
You know, I was battling tonight. The missus gave me spinach, and then she's trying to hide some other sort of veggies from the garden in things, and I do laugh because I'll eat it. But
don't get me wrong, I do love steak, but I think there's something beautiful about deer for one, and also just hunting in general. Like it feeds you more than once. It feeds you an experience, and it feeds you like nutrient dense food. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I can't believe it took me so long to get into it. Really.
There's just something so honest and natural about it. And, I think unless you've hunted, I don't think people that haven't hunted or have been successful as well to an extent. I think like the whole experience is part of the journey. But when you do harvest that animal, there's just something, it's hard to explain. It just feels so right.
Oh yeah,
Um,
100%,
like
100%.
I don't go to the supermarket and buy that steak and feel right about it
Yeah,
or that I've
it
accomplished
doesn't
something
make you feel
or
good,
no, I'm not
but
part of the
when you slap
cycle
that
or
Venny down and you're like,
yeah,
I know where that thing died,
yep,
I know where the
the
bullet
story.
hit, I know what its stomach contents were.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's awesome.
Yeah, 100%. No, I couldn't agree more. I sit there when we do that and all they have the story and it just adds that extra layer to it. And it's hard to describe to people that haven't done it. And, I'd love to, actually, I'm really curious to people who don't hunt for meat, whether they do it as a trophy, an only trophy, whether they get that same sense of satisfaction.
Surely
Um,
not.
I don't know. They obviously get something out of it because they do it and they enjoy it. And again, not bagging anyone that's a trophy hunter, like whatever floats your boat. Um, it's fascinating. I don't know if that would be the same from me anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I love hunting. I hate killing. I mean, and I think I've put in one of my Instagram posts once, that the moment that it gets easier to take a life, I think that's when you should stop hunting because, like I do have such reverence and respect that animal that I want to use every last little bit of it. Um, and I don't want it to go to waste.
Mm,
And so for me, just killing and leaving the animal there, which I see it quite often, um, in the forest, just this animal just dead with nothing taken off it, this perfectly healthy animal,
yeah,
and it's just sat there to rot. Like it's such a waste.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't really understand that aspect, but
Or the opposite is when I shot that my first deer, and it's my first state forest deer, and
diseased,
it's
yeah,
yeah, like, and I sort of that was like not it was instant regret, like not so much that I shot the animal because that's what I was there to do, and it was regret that their organs weren't great, so I did have to make a judgment to leave that meat there, and I felt like it
yeah,
was just wasted, even though I'm 100% comfortable with my decision. It just sucked. I would have rather, been able to really take that meat home. That was
yeah, but it's just
definitely a
not worth it, is it?
disappointment. Not worth the chance. And I feed it to
Yeah,
my kids too, and that's I sort of that's always in the back of your mind. I don't want to do something like I'd feel horrible if I fed them something and somehow found out that it was had a negative impact on them. And look, that's not just with meat. I'll be honest. That's with sugar. That's with
yeah,
junk food.
yeah,
We're very we don't really. I think the kids have had Maccas. My eldest is 5. He's probably had it 5 times ever.
yeah,
We just don't operate that way, and it's something I'm very cautious of. Like they've never had soft drink, period. And even I think juices they've had maybe 3 in their life. Like we're very,
no, that's
um,
awesome though.
yeah, it's good. And I wish I wish that continues. And I wish I would have had that a bit more when I was younger. And again that comes down to knowledge and obviously not bagging out my parents. Things have changed over time and that but so I sort of have the same feeling about everything. It's not just feeding deer meat to something. It's not like I don't trust myself or the process. It's more that I'm about that for everything because I want the best for my kids. So I think that most parents
Yeah,
want that for for their family and their children. So it's but yeah, it's mate hunting. It's just awesome. How'd you go with the pigs? Because did I know I asked you? I can't remember. Did you end up eating them or was it for the
I
dogs?
yeah, I took the two back legs and
Mm,
one of the front legs. The others was just completely shattered from a bullet. But
yeah,
I am not going to eat this one. I'll let my dog have it. But I think if I got one a little bit younger, or one of her piglets that was with her, I
yeah.
definitely would have tried it. But yeah, it's just not worth the risk with the eating carry on and and
Yeah.
just being full of parasites. Oh, well, I mean, some people I talk to, they're like, "Oh, mate, I'd eat a pig over a deer," and then you and then you talk to other people and they're like, "Oh, mate, like I wouldn't touch him." So it's hard to know. I don't really know enough to say, yeah, that's
Chat GPT it. I don't know if I trust
basically.
it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd sit there and go, I don't know, is this a Terminator thing? It's trying to wipe me out? Like, I don't know.
As soon as I touched the pig that I got up close and felt the coarseness of its hair and everything and saw its belly, and I was just like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna eat this.
Yeah.
And the deer, they're just so healthy and beautiful looking that
Yeah, it's different.
they're gonna taste good. Like
They look like, I mean, they look different. And then when you consider a deer in a deer farm compared to a deer in the wild are pretty close to identical. A pig at the farm and a feral pig out in the bush. I've
mate.
got some issues in that little transition we got going on there. I don't know what it is, but that does also play a bit of, an issue in my mind.
I think pigs are the only thing that I'm really like. Well, you don't have really anything to worry about out in the bush besides snakes and whatnot. But pigs, after I shot that one, and she was quite a big sow, had a couple of piglets with her, and the male, I spotted it from the car, and I thought it was a cow. And so I stopped the car, got out, and I was about to, and it went behind a tree, and I couldn't see it, and I just zeroed in on the sow. But after I'd killed the sow, the boar came back with a couple of the piglets, and it was just staring at me, grunting.
Yeah, right.
And just, I thought it was about to charge me. So, I put another bullet in the chamber, and it just, as soon as it heard me click, and it was out of there. But for a second there, it was thinking about coming and tearing me apart.
Well, you see, I love seeing some of the Instagram footage. I don't know if you caught one. There was one, I don't know, and I hope she's all right, but she shot a pig, and it looks like somewhere up like Northern Territory, Queensland, muddy. It's sort of laying in the water. There's blood coming out of it into the water, and she's walked up filming it. I sort of, before she gets up, I sort of go, did that take a breath? Like, was that a rise and fall of the chest? And then she's got up close, and it's just jumped up and attacked her, and you just hear her screaming, and the camera going up in the air, and I sort of go, oh, it's just, always check, and so I don't know what happened to her, but hope she's all right. But there can't be a good situation.
Compared to the deer, this thing ate my bullets. Like, I wasn't quite sure where to hit the pig I got it in the head, brain shot, and it still ran and was kicking and carrying on. So I put another one in it, and that's when I through the heart. But still, like, it was just, the bullet barely even went through it. Like, it was, I couldn't believe it. And that's 150 grain 308 Hornady, yeah. And they've completely obliterated the deer one shot every time almost. So I was super surprised that this thing just kept kicking, and I can completely see what that story you just said about happening. Because I mean, as I came up to it, I thought it was completely had it, and then it just had another full on adrenaline kick and carried on. So yeah.
Yeah, look, tough animals. You constantly hear stories of animals that have just taken a bashing, whether it be a bullet, whether it be a fight from another animal, getting hit by a car, and then just still living and healing and continuing on with business as normal. And you just sit there and respect, because I don't think humans can take the bashing that some of these critters can take and survive. It's very impressive.
Some of the footage you see on Instagram, there's a channel called Nature is Metal, I think, and you'll see like a completely broken leg, and the deer's just or dislocated, and it's just walking and dislocating its shoulder every step, and you think, how is that thing just continuing? It's just it's crazy. I don't think humans really have that endurance. We feel pain too much.
Yeah. No, it's very interesting. It's Mate, they're just all of them, remarkable critters. And I suppose that's why we love to hunt them and respect them too.
Definitely, mate. Definitely.
All right, mate. Well, appreciate you coming on. Congrats on your unique unicorn buck. And, mate, I look forward to seeing the rest of your hunting journey, and best of luck in the upcoming months, mate. Hope you get out there and have some success, and look forward to seeing it on Instagram. For people who want to follow along at home and check out your Instagram, where can they find you, mate?
The Traveling Backwoodsman on Instagram, and I'm not that active on there at the moment, but I ebb and flow with it. Sometimes I post a lot and other times nothing. So
join the club. I know that feeling.
It's a love and hate relationship with that with the thing.
Yeah.
So
I know social media. It's sort of like, do you post enough? Do you not? Whatever. It is what it is. So,
yeah,
mate, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming on and sharing your story, mate. Love the Instagram handle. It's a cracker. So, all right, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Bye for now. You've been listening to the Australian Hunting and Beyond podcast with Matt. Thanks for tuning in, and can't wait to catch you next time. But in the meantime, if you want more, you can find it at linktr.ee/Australian Hunting and Beyonds. That will give you our YouTube, Instagram, X, Facebook, you name it. We'll catch you next time.